Hey, hey, I'm glad you joined us today on Let's Talk About It with Xavier Fox. I am your host, Xavier Fox. I'm so honored to be hosting the first talk show on the Blaze 'em Up Cigar Radio Network. So get ready for this journey. On Monday mornings, Thursdays, and Friday afternoons, not only will you be entertained, my guest host will also share valuable information on relationships, health and fitness, investing, and believe me, there's much, much more. Today, Khalid Scott will set it off with relationship reflections. Khalid is our licensed and experienced marriage counselor on the show. You met him last Friday on his launch show. He's high energy, full of knowledge, and hearty laughs. I can't wait to reflect. There it goes. Some of y'all need to hear his reflections. Then Miss Justice Junkie herself, April Prayer, is going to share some legal views on popular topics and cases, including those PPP fraud loans some of you got, and the R. Kelly case. If you have questions on either segment, feel free to zoom in using the link, which can be found on my Facebook page, Xavier Fox, or you should join the Facebook group, Let's Talk About It with Xavier Fox, and there you'll get all the info and you won't miss any updates on upcoming shows. You can also check the radio show page of my website, xavierfox.com, for the schedule of upcoming shows to see when your favorite personality or topic is scheduled for the month of November. So now let's get to it. How you doing today, Khalid?
I am doing excellent. And thank you again, Xavier, for this opportunity to discuss this really important subject matter.
Well, I am excited. I'm glad that you agreed to do it because you have the experience and all of the alphabet letters behind your name. We know that you know what you're talking about over there. And we definitely, relationships are very challenging in these days and times, to say the least.
Absolutely.
And so we definitely need, some people will say, keep all your problems to yourself. But the only way you're going to learn is to open your mind and understanding up to other options. You can't just stick to your own understanding because there's so many different ways to approach a problem. There's different ways to handle situations. So I am going to go ahead and turn the mic over to you because I know you got some great stuff in store for us. And I'm still going to be here with questions and comments. So let's get it popping.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, thank you everyone who's joined in today. And let me go ahead and set the tone of my monthly radio spot with the wonderful Xavier Fox. I called my segment Relationship Reflections because I want to take us all on a journey. And the journey is called the road of relationships because relationships, no matter what they are, either romantic, family, friendships, co-workers, your community, your neighbors, it's a journey, and we all want to get to a certain destination, but we're learning that, wow, do we really get to a certain destination? Or is it the ride that we just need to be okay with? And then on any ride, there's going to be some potholes, there's going to be some curves, there's going to be rainstorms and snowstorms, that your car is going to break down when you think, it's running smooth. And then you're going to get on some nicely paved roads where things just feel smooth and peaceful and like, I got this. And before you know it, a deer runs in front of your car. When you think everything is going well, it's like, I tell folks all the time, and I'm a spiritual guy, and I say God has the most funniest sense of humor because when you think what's going to happen in your life, he'll throw a monkey wrench in there and say, And I believe, X, that he throws that monkey wrench in because there's a lesson that we haven't learned.
Right.
And I believe that until we really learn the lesson, that he'll keep repeating it over and over and over again until we get it.
Absolutely. That's how it
Until
works.
we get it. And what happens is the reason why we don't learn these lessons immediately, because our heart is involved.
Right.
Okay. And when you operating brain versus heart, you're going to always have different outcomes. You're going to always have different outcomes.
Sometimes the
And
brain loses out on those challenges.
Right. Right. But you know what? It's okay sometimes to let that heart lead you, because again, you have no testimony without being tested.
That's true.
If you had all great relationships in your life, the first time that son of Satan or that daughter of Satan comes and enter in your life, you are going to be blown away. Why? Because you don't have the wherewithal.
And I can attest
because you
to
don't
that.
have the thick skin.
Yep, I can attest.
Because you've been set up. And so somebody might say, well, Khalid, break that down. So like for me, I have a wonderful relationship with my daughter, right? I have a wonderful relationship with her. And I worked hard on it for the last 19 years. But then I think about things like, wow, have I prepared Anaya for how other men will treat her who ain't her daddy?
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Now, but then, you know what? My daughter remind me like, Daddy, you're not perfect.
Oh.
You're not perfect. And I'm like, what? 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 What do you mean? I've been at all the recitals. I've been at all the doctor's appointments. I was at all the report card days. And so what happens is I found that when you are overcompensating, and I can say that honestly, because guess what? I didn't grow up with a daddy for one day in my life.
Right.
Talking about relationships. I did not have a daddy. I have no memories of him in my entire life. Wow. And he's been going since 2010. So I had no role model of what daddyhood looked like, other than Heathcliff Huxtable and James Evans.
Right.
And Uncle Phil. I'm gonna add him too.
Yep.
I'm gonna add him in the pot too, you know? And so those men kind of set me up, you know what I'm saying? Because they handled their kids, it appeared. But then, you know what? When I go back and look at those series and watch those episodes, I look at them from a 50-year-old's viewpoint as compared to the kid and the teenager that I originally looked at them, right?
Right.
And they did make errors. And they did have kids being oppositional, but it was how they handled it, right? So James Evans was like, I'm going to take this belt off and handle everything.
Yes, he
right?
is. Don't do that.
Right. And then a few years later, this wonderful show came on TV in 1984 in the fall. And we saw a daddy who talked to his kids, did not point to a belt, did not raise a hand, did not yell per se. He had conversations with his kids. And I just knew that's the daddy I'm going to be. That's the daddy I'm going to be. Because that man is just perfect, you know? And then the mom, she handled the hard stuff, you know? So whereas Heathcliff handled it with the brain and the head, Mama handled those situations with Denise and Vanessa with her heart. And she let them know, get upstairs.
Yep.
Get upstairs. And so fast forward, God, have I set my daughter up? But then it hit me. No, my daughter watched me go through a divorce. She watched me go through the divorce, which is one of the hardest things you can go through in life. And my daughter saw me vulnerable. And my daughter saw me cry. You know? And my daughter saw me get mad. She saw all the emotions that you are not supposed to watch a man go through. Okay. But I showed her because I needed to let her know daddy is human and I do have faults. So now, hindsight, have I been a good, steady role model of manhood to Anaya? Yes. But I still tell my daughter every day, some guy is going to open your nose. No, they not, Daddy. No, they not. I said, wait till it happens. You'll tell me, maybe. And I said, Anaya, you're going to have to go through it. Because how I learned how to navigate the world of women and dating is because I had to go through my errors. I had to go through my speed bumps and my potholes and my slick roads in order to be now in a place where the road is real smooth. It's real smooth. And that's the journey I want to take you all on as we have these monthly meetings or these monthly conversations. And that's what I want this to be, a healthy conversation about relationships.
Okay. And I definitely want it to be that too. And you know what I kind of want you to touch on, because there's a lot of extracurricular activities going on within relationships. And I think when you and I talked about doing the show, one of the things that we talked about was, and you titled it so perfectly, it was like the psychology of an affair.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. And you know what? I'm not even saying I want you to go there today, because I know once you start talking about that, it's so interesting to me. It takes me, so I know that's a whole show within itself. So go ahead. I just had to throw that in there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know what? Let's get previews to the audience, because I think this is going to be hot.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? Because this is the subject matter that we care about. You put a post up about relationships, you are guaranteed to have your indicator call blink, 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 blink. You are guaranteed to have a ton of likes and a ton of commentaries, because this subject matter touches both men and women.
Yes.
Because oftentimes we see things with different lenses, men versus women.
True.
Right?
Yes.
And to be honest, and get ready, everybody, a lot of our things that we see are similar more than they're different. But the world tells us that it has to sound different. So for instance, Xavier, when men get a divorce, let me ask you, Xavier, typically, when you think about a man who's experienced a divorce, tell me what you think goes on with him, just based on surface.
Well, just based on the surface of the only two that I've kind of been around going through a divorce, they start to date again. It kind of goes back to that book that someone wrote called Men Don't Heal, They Whore. And so it often just seems like they move on to the next one. That's what it seems like to me.
Yes. And now, what else that have you observed, or it appears that goes on with a man who's going through or has went through a divorce?
Well, a lot of women will also attest to the fact that it seems like once a man gets hurt, he starts to protect his heart and he never really opens it up again. So any woman after that, you just kind of feel like you're the for now versus the forever.
Wow. Come on. Now, you graduated valedictorian, didn't you? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's it. That's it. That's it. Now, let's go down the other lane. What happens with a woman that you've observed going through or who has went through a divorce? What happens to women typically?
The women that I've witnessed go through divorces, most of them were devastated. They were devastated, not only emotionally, but some of them also financially, as they became single parents. And it was a devastating thing for them. And some never really bounced back from that emotional hurt, because just like the men, that hurt was so, and women tend to bounce back, we tend to bounce back and keep our minds open for love. However, after a divorce, it seems like a lot of women they're crippled at that point. It's like
Absolutely.
you might go, but you're gonna go real slow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now you see what's out there in the atmosphere. So listening to just even what you just presented, you will have more empathy or sympathy for who?
The woman.
The woman. And then you'll vilify who?
I guess the man. I
Yes,
don't vilify
absolutely.
them though, but I don't know if that's a pretty strong word. Now I have heard of men because I know you and I know that you
Yes,
emotionally went
yes,
through your
yes,
divorce. That was an emotional thing for you. So I know that
yes.
it does happen, but I would say you are maybe one of the 2 out of 10.
Yeah,
And I'm still
yeah,
looking for the other one.
absolutely. So now let me surprise you right quick. More men go through what I went through. But the difference is I was comfortable to show my vulnerability out loud. That was the only difference. That
Yeah.
was the only difference. I was comfortable to show my vulnerability in front because at that point, I had nothing to lose. I had nothing to lose. I believe, like I said last week, I believed in the Disney endings where you ride off into the sunset and happily ever after. Lisa was supposed to be cleaning my bedpans.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? We were supposed to grow old together and, maybe even leave the earth at the same time. That's what I put in my head. When a man gets married, he thinks about everly after, or however you pronounce that. He thinks about the long haul. This is the one who I'm committed to. This is who I'm going to die in the presence of. We do not go into marriage thinking about divorce. And how I can prove myself right, more divorces are now being facilitated or initiated by who, X? Who do you think?
It's women. They say 80% of divorces are
Yes,
initiated by women. However, on
yes,
the flip side of that, Khalid, what are those women's reasons for
yes.
facilitating? Because often, the guy is living his cake, well, eating his cake. What is it? Having his cake and eating it too. And that's why the divorce comes. He don't need a divorce because he's happy that he got you at home doing what you're supposed to do. And he got Sally Mae up the street and she doing what she can do. And then he's putting Paula Pete on the bench for if Sally Mae mess up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So the women are filing for divorces, but that's because the men find if she's good with it. So if the woman don't file a divorce, it's like her saying, okay, I'm good with this. We tell each other all the time, you can't just complain about the situation. If you're gonna complain and stay, then stop talking to me about it. I
Right.
told people that if you're gonna keep complaining about the same thing and not doing anything different, I don't really want to have a conversation anymore. And so women are starting to say, okay, I can't just continue to complain to my girlfriends about him cheating, he not doing this. So you can't just keep complaining about not doing anything. You need to take your butt on and do something about it. Whatever that's going to be, divorce him, kill him, cripple him. I don't know. I'm
Now
kidding,
we get
y'all. I don't
Lifetime
want
up
no
in
hate
here.
mail.
The Lifetime Network. Absolutely. Well, let me throw this out, and I'm telling you, sis, you're ahead of the game in what you just said. Right. Men get into our comfort zones. That's why we are slaves to that chair in our living room and the remote control and our snacks and that big screen TV. Home represents something different to men. It represents something different. It represents, or it should represent, comfort. What we believe that it represents to women is this. This is my place that I have to manage.
Mm-hmm.
I have to manage. When you are a man and you're about to buy a home, they tell us men all the time, you buy the house, but let her make it a
Home.
what?
A home.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When is the last time a man got told, let her buy the house, but you make it a home? Men do not hear that.
Right.
And remember, if men are more logical thinking, while women tend to be more emotional based, then think about the logic of just that by itself. When we get married, men are not told to be participatory in planning the wedding, are we?
Nope.
So we start off this relationship with let you handle it. Let you handle it.
Mm-hmm.
So think about that. I am in love with this woman. I go and buy the ring. I go and propose to her. Once that ring gets on that third left finger, I'm out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm told, sit your ass down, relax, and then I'm going to do everything. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So then we take it literally. I'm going to sit on that love seat with my remote control. I'm going to have my Harold's chicken wings and my buffalo wings from Hooters. I'm going to put on the football game and I'm going to relax because why? The wife has the run of everything else.
Yep.
So what happens is we got to go back. We got to go back to the basics and say, when we start this relationship off, it has to be a partnership. It has to be a partnership. Because if we don't start it this way, somebody is going to get somebody is going to get, what's the word I'm looking for? Somebody going to get the tail end of this. Right. And it's typically not the man. Because again, we're set up to say, let the women do all the work. When to be honest, it should be us men doing all the work.
You know, what's funny, as you were saying that, I was listening to you. And so when it starts off, you know, the man proposes, but then the woman manages the wedding, right? And so then you go into the house and the woman manages the house and the relationship. And then when it comes to an end, the woman manages the divorce too, right?
Yes. Yes.
So we're really managing everything.
Absolutely.
So
and y'all love it.
What y'all
and y'all love it. And y'all love it. So that's why a man is like, well, before I get divorced, I want Tamika. Because I'm so used to being laid back. I'm not used to putting the work in. And I like how it feels. So for me, when my friends are telling me they're getting divorced, I say, brother, I need you to go into therapy. Why, Khalid? Because I need you to go through the grieving process, brother. Mm-hmm. And I tell the women friends who are going through divorce the same thing. So now let me deal with that grieving process. And I know we're kind of jumping all over the place, but see, I love this momentum, X, and this is how this show is going to be. It needs to be.
Okay, I'm good.
With any loss, and I need you all to grab your pen and papers or put me on recording or whatever, but I need you to take this down. The grieving process has 5 components. When you are dealing with a significant loss, the first step is shock and denial. I cannot believe this is happening. I have been this, that, and this to this person. How dare me have to go through this? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Next is the anger. Because once I woke up and realized that this really happened, I'm mad. I didn't deserve this. You know, I got all these other friends being this, why, that in the streets, and I'm going through this? No, I'm mad at you. I'm mad at you, God. I'm mad at the world. Next is the depression, the sadness, the melancholy part. Wow. Wow, this really happened. This really happened. I gotta accept this. And it ain't gonna be no change. I can't go to sleep and like Dallas wake up and they're gonna be in the shower and it's gonna be like, oh, it was just a dream for this whole past year. I didn't die. You know, I'm here. Then next is the bargaining.
Oh.
And with bargaining is when you start talking it out. This is when you go into therapy because you know, I can't do this by myself. Or I've been venting to all my friends and family and they are there the best way they can be, but I really got to get this out because they biased, they love me. But I need to be hit between the eyes sometimes because I still don't get why this happened. Let me really put the work in. And then the last component is acceptance. It has happened. It has happened. And it took 3 years, 5 years, 9 years for me to get to the full acceptance where I didn't vacillate and go back to depression or go back to shock or go back to anger or go back to bargaining. I've truly accepted what it is.
That was deep. That was good.
And see, with this, you can't skip parts of it. Because if you try to skip parts of it, God in his infinite wisdom will say, go back and repeat it all over again. Ooh. Go back. Like if you watch the second Wonder Woman, she called herself, she took a little shortcut, right? And her mother knew. So at the end, when all the warrior women were finishing up, her mother was like, no, you lost. And the lesson is you can't ever take shortcuts because you will have to repeat. You got to go through the full extremity of it so you can really feel it.
So you
can really feel it.
You actually have a pretty popular show so far, Khalid. I have to give it to you. I think you might be the most popular right now, and you have a couple questions going on here. Would you like to take your listen to the statements now or later?
Sure, absolutely. Give me a minute to catch my breath.
Okay. So there's a statement that says women naturally are better with the details and men are better with the okay, somebody else posted something and moved it for me. Women are naturally better with the details and men are better with the big picture to address why women take on manager roles more often. Do you think that's true, that women are better with the details?
Absolutely, you are. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me tell you something. When I go into Jules, I got a list that I text myself to. When I go into Jules, those 10 items that I got on my text message, those are the only 10 items I'm getting.
Well, I'm like that too, though.
Oh, okay. But and I got you. And I'm not saying that women don't, and I ain't saying that men don't go and get the extra stuff. But I just know men in general, when we go shopping, I need a pair of black slacks. I am not going in there to get no jeans. I ain't in there to get a jacket. I'm going right into Macy's, get those black slacks, and I'm getting out.
That's me, though. That is me. And it could be because I'm a daddy's girl. And I think
absolutely. But women go into that grocery store, they like, wait a minute, I got to get the spices.
And I
need some roses to put on the middle of the table. Wait a minute, I need some fruit to make the fruit cocktail. Wait a minute, wait a minute. My husband trying to be a vegan, so I got to get his menu. But the kids want their junk food for during the week. See, I ain't doing all that. I got to get those 10 items and get out because I can't stand the Jules line. I cannot stand it.
Yes.
And guess who'll be holding up the lines, X? You know, and understand, I'm not trying to stereotype the sexes. I'm just talking about in general. You know what I'm saying?
You know who be holding up the line?
Men have a different mindset.
the person who be holding up the line is some old dude with a cane. That's who it
Right, there you
is.
go.
You got another comment. So it's good afternoon. It should be a collaborative and complementary partnership. Neither
Absolutely.
party should think that they do it all by themselves. Each party probably leans more toward their strengths.
Yes,
And
yes.
that's what I want, is someone that I am a team with, and we both have strengths and we acknowledge what your strength is. If your strength is cleaning and my strength is cooking, then we got it covered.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
but because when I was married, I was a housewife.
Okay.
And when you are really actively a housewife, like in the real sense, not in, some people think that being a housewife is sitting around watching TV and eating or whatever all day.
Right.
That's not what a housewife is. But when you actually are managing the household, that is a 20-hour job at least. You might get a little
Wow.
sleep, but you're the first one up, because you have to manage everybody's day. You get everybody ready for wherever they got to go, and
Absolutely.
you're the last one asleep as well, because again, you have to have managed everything. Okay, so you have one more. And to the point of the host, what you set up at the beginning of the relationship could become the pattern of the relationship. Be mindful of how we assign roles and discuss needs instead of expectations in the relationship. Expectations, or I think that should be our expectations, are subjective and prone to disappointment, but needs are
Yes.
inclusive and transparent.
Woo! That go another valedictorian right there. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Let me go back again, because I really want to help us to understand both parties, but of course I'm a man, so I want to explain men. When men get a divorce, again, we are taught to handle it in a specific way. But I remember a close friend of mine, and you know this friend. I remember when he was telling me about his divorce ex, and he said he went down to the Daily Center, because anybody who has gotten the divorce in the Chicagoland area, for the most part, you got to go to the 30th floor at the Daily Center, right?
Wow.
And he said he got home, and at the time he lived in a suburb, I believe, Schaumburg. And he said he walked into his walk-in closet, and he said he went to go and hang up his suit jacket. And when he saw all the open hangers,
Wow.
he fell to the ground and cried, because he knew it was over.
Wow.
See, those are conversations I have with men. Those are conversations I have with men. And if you met my buddy, he the most machismo man walking in Chicago. But he was comfortable enough in his skin and who I was as his friend to say, man, I fell to the ground and cried in a closet looking at all those empty hangers.
Yeah.
And we don't hear that.
That's
And see,
deep.
my thing is, now men need to open up more. Men really need to own our heart side. See, we got the head side already. Now we got to start owning that heart side, because maybe if we start doing that more, then all that pent up energy, all that toxicity may dissipate and we be better people. You brought up the point about when women divorce, look what they had to deal with in order to run and get that a divorce attorney and get a divorce. Think about how us men are taught about handling relationships, X. It's been passed on since slavery. And let me back up to that, because it's a very important piece. You ready, listeners? I was doing research on Black male sexuality, because I was doing a presentation for the Association of Black Sex Therapists. And I'm not a sex therapist. That's a taboo area, because I'm about the kids and family. But I wanted to grow and expand. And I want to go to this conference and learn about my colleagues and what they do to help people have better sex lives, right? So
Okay.
the guy who was coordinating, he said, well, Khalid, I want you to push yourself. You have to come up with a PowerPoint that's going to be significant and it's going to challenge you. So I said, what should I talk about? Now, for me, I'm a mentor. And the majority of my mentees are African American, well, they all are African American young men who happen to be athletes,
Okay.
right? So and then I'm listening to my mentees and their stories, right? About sex, and how sex has shaped up who they thought they are. And remember, when you're an athlete, right, especially as an African-American male athlete, what you are taught is on that basketball court, baseball field, and football field is that you matter from your neck down.
Oh, okay.
Don't matter what you got, because unless you're a quarterback or the captain of the team, they don't care what your brain muscle is doing. They care about that neck down, your body, right? So the men want you to be physically fit so you could win, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the women are turned on because why? You got a body, right?
Yeah.
So you're invested in your body, right? Because that's how the world sees you. Now, let me do something real quick and let me help your audience out. And you all going to love this. So, X, you're my audience member and you got to answer these questions. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, you're a sixth grader, X. You're not Xavier, the phenomenal woman you are now. You're a sixth grade girl and you're going to base your answers of stereotypes from a 12-year-old's perspective. So don't do nothing extra. Just go with this.
Okay.
Xavier, in your mind, when you was in sixth grade, when you thought about the race of men who tend to be the most wealthiest financially, what is the first race that comes to your mind?
White.
Yes. When you think about the race of men who are very family oriented, it's all about their family. I'll have 20 of my family members in the house with me if I got to. What race first comes to your mind of men?
Hispanic.
Hispanic. When you think of, valedictorian, see? When you think of the race of men who are intellect, they invented computers and technology. What is the first race that comes to your mind?
Asian.
Asian. When you think of the hottest body, sexual prowessness, athletic, what is the first race that comes to your mind of men?
Black.
Black men. You see that? See that? Other men are valued from the neck up. We're valued from the neck down. And see what us brothers have made the mistake of doing? We signed on to it too. So it's all about our sex. It's all about our sex. As long as I'm giving some good sex, she'll let me get away with everything else I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've heard grown men say that. I had somebody told me that.
Yes.
Like, no.
Yes. Yes. And to be honest, low key, our women are in that same boat too. You know what I'm saying? Y'all we did the thoughts of other races. When men think of you all, they think of your bodies.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a curse that started from slavery, right?
Because
it wasn't about our brains.
Right.
They didn't want slaves with brains.
Right.
They needed slaves with bodies. So then you had Bucky.
Yeah.
And what Buck was, if you're a 6'2" black man, tall and strong, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mazza was like, I want to replicate him. Because if I have a plantation full of John Henrys, man, I'm gonna make millions every year. Now, how do I keep replicating him? Aha. I make sure he has sex with all the slave girls. And all the slave girls. And I mean girls like under 18.
Oh yeah, back then, yep.
Right. So then the babies were being born and growing up. But now all the babies aren't growing up to be 6'2" like the dad. And think about it, if you're that 6'2" John Henry, you end up having to cut off what? Your emotions, because I'm a baby maker. Sex is about the act, not about love and emotions. You following me, X?
Absolutely.
Right. So I cut off the emotion part because it's about sex, ejaculation, having a baby. So then one of the most horrible things happened. Mazza was like, well, John Henry has a sister and she's 5'11". I'm gonna make siblings have sex.
Oh no.
Yes, that was my research. And I don't just stop at sisters. Because remember, mom had these babies when she was 12 years old.
Oh, this is
so
good.
she's 12 years older than her son, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if her son is 18, mama is 30 years old, correct?
Yep.
And how I really make sure I have more John Henrys, I put a bag over their heads and make them have sex with each other.
Oh no.
Yes, that's our history. That's our history. I know I'm doing Umar Johnson right now, but that's history. And then the little unknown secret is Mazza was molesting male slaves. They would have sex parties. So now fast forward hundreds of years later, centuries later, X, I don't know about the men in your family, but I think all of us got daddies, granddaddies, and uncles who got sad families. They just didn't marry auntie. He just didn't marry grandma. He just didn't marry my mama. He had kids outside that relationship. Why? Because remember, men learned centuries ago, cut off the emotion. It's about the act. That's why when a man is romantic with you, making love, and soon as he ejaculates, he got to get up. He don't want you laying on him because the act is up now. While you all tend to what we think of, you all want to cuddle because this was a close connection. But us men have it in our DNAs, get up afterwards.
Wow.
So see, our relationships have been set up from before we ever entered this earth to be jacked up.
Man.
My grandfather had 5 kids outside his marriage with my granny. And 3 of the friends were my grandmama's friends.
Oh, nah.
So X, imagine I marry you and 3 of your friends I sleep with and have babies with.
Oh my God.
And you stay with me.
No, I would not.
I know, but I'm going back to decades ago. My grandmother stayed with my granddaddy. What do you think that did to my mama and my auntie and my 2 uncles? They watched their daddy have babies outside the marriage and even beat my grandma. So when that movie Fences came out and Denzel was doing that scene with Viola and she was like, well, I know you're not going to see her again. What did Denzel tell her? He told her, that woman brings me pleasure and joy, and I'm going to keep seeing her.
Oh,
you didn't see Fences?
I guess I'm going to have to watch it now.
I get you. Everybody in that movie theater was like, ho, ho. I saw that movie with my daughter and I started crying because that was my grandmama and granddaddy up there on that movie screen.
Wow.
And see, I love my granny. My granny was my everything. And after that, I found out what my grandfather did to my grandmama. I never looked at him with the same eyes again. But the wonderful thing about him doing that to my grandmother and what my father did to my mother, it made me go the opposite, X. I've never cheated on a relationship that I've been in because I saw the aftermath of what infidelity and cheating doing. Remember a few years ago, X, I used to get mad at all y'all watching Scandal. I would make posts about it. I'm like, stop glamorizing mistresses. And people would curse me out. Shut up. I'm going to watch Olivia Pope. It's Thursday night, Negro. Be quiet. I'm saying it plants a seed. It tells you it's okay to be the side woman. But X, I know differently because guess what? When Mr. L left my house and he was with my mama for 16 years, I had to watch my mama cry on the couch because the man she loved went back home to his wife and 3 children. And as a little black boy who loved his mama, it tore my soul open. But what could I do? I was a kid. And guess what else, X? I love Mr. Lee too. He was my only daddy figure from age 2 to 18.
Wow.
So when him and my mother broke up at age 18, guess what it did to me, X?
It
hurt me. I was an innocent victim. Remember when you're messing with a married person and they meet your kids, the kid's gonna have a bond. Why wouldn't they? You in their house. But see, we only think about the man and woman. We don't think about the other people who are involved. So this is why this show has to do this. So X, I'm not your most handsomest host. I ain't your most player host, but the people who tune in the first Friday of every month, y'all gonna get this.
They're gonna be here because they're here now. You have more comments, actually. Let me pull up some of these comments right now.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, they're definitely here for you. So you have a comment that says, awesome comments, Khalid, and absolutely about men and athletes. Good movie to check out for that on Canopy is You Throw Like a Girl. And then somebody said, I agree with the Scandal comments. Unfortunately, I was in the minority.
Got you.
Someone said, oh, we getting deep on here for sure. Someone said, as a man with 3 sons, my goal was going to be a dynamic father.
Yes.
So yeah, you have some people on here that are definitely enjoying this. And you know, with the Scandal comment, I did watch Scandal, and in general, I liked Olivia Pope.
Yes.
However, I felt like she is a mistress. That was a challenge for me to like the character and know that she was messing with a married man. Because, you know, I've talked about, you know, like you said, you've never cheated on any relationship, and I've never cheated on any relationship. And in addition to that, I've never dealt with a married man because my dad always told me that was a waste of time. Like, what are you going to do with a married man? Where are you going to go from there? And so I just never really got into it. But another thing that you said that my dad told me, and I don't know if it's because, you know, my dad, when he passed, he was 91. So you know, his dad, you know, clearly was way back when. And my dad told me when I was growing up as a little girl, he said, sex is not love, and love is not sex. So as you talk about, you know, the slave mentality and stuff as far as men, that was actually what I was told. My dad told me that your sex drive is as natural as hunger or the need to eliminate. He said you are going to desire sex even if there's nobody else in the house with you. Your body will just start acting up, you know. So that really, it was, I could relate to that because even though it's a slave mentality, that's been passed on, and it's been passed on to a lot of women, I believe, as well. And we really see it now in our younger women.
Got you. Got you. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing is, we've glamorized it now. We've glamorized it now. We made it okay. We cheer on Offset cheating on Cardi B. You know, instead of praising the Obamas who've shown us, and we don't know what demons they on dealt with, but instead of cheering them on, we cheer on these the Will and Jada.
I was just about to say, so they talk about, Offset cheating on Cardi B, which I don't really keep up with that stuff too much. But then I don't know what they feel like with Jada and Will half the time. Half the time they demonizing Jada, and then the other times it's like supporting because they have an open marriage. They've both alluded to the fact that they have an open marriage. So is it more about living up to society's expectations or doing what's comfortable for you in your own marriage?
Let me break that down to you. Jada, you in people's head, even though we heard that they was just friends, we connect her with Tupac. Will Smith is that goofy little brother of ours, or that goofy uncle of ours that we love, who is this, he always buys you the box of candy. You know what I'm saying? It makes you feel good. So how dare her cheat on Uncle Will, or Big Brother Will, or Little Brother Will? It's just the same like Ciara and Russ Wilson. Russ Wilson is that goofy friend of ours who we want to kind of protect. Okay. Because he ain't used to fast tail girls. And you know what we think of Ciara? Right. She was baby mama number 3 or 4.
Oh, God.
It wasn't like she was the first one in this man. She was number 3 in the tribe. And then she gonna marry old goofy ass Russ with his goofy self. So that's why us men, it's not that we're talking about women, we're protective of him. Because guess what? At some point, all of us was a Russ and we got done dirty.
And that goes back to what I said, when a man gets hurt, it's harder for him to move past it. You guys kind of get a little stuck right there.
Absolutely, sis. Absolutely. See, everything I just said is common sense based. I have not said nothing that ain't none of us have never heard before. I'm just putting it into perspective, and I have a loud voice. And you have a wonderful voice, because X, what I've always realized with you, you just didn't give the girly version of anything. You always give the real version of it.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Version. I don't think I know the girly version. I didn't grow up like that.
I got you. I got you.
Listen, my dad was a player, and he told me when I was about 15, he said the daughter pays for the sins of the father. Ooh. He said, so I'm gonna have to teach you something, otherwise you're gonna be in trouble.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And see, let me tell you how wise your daddy is. That's what made me be the dad to Anaya, because I wanted only good karma to come to my baby. Because my thing is, be good, Khalid, and good will come to your daughter. And even me mentoring all these young men, in my head, Khalid, if you think that most boys and men are messed up, what part are you going to play to make it better? So one of my mentees is about to get married next month. And about 4 other of my mentees in their 20s and 30s, they got married. And you know what the majority of them did? They went to City Hall and got married. And when I asked them, where did you go to City Hall? I wanted to put on a tuxedo. They was like, Coach, it's about the love.
Yep.
It ain't about the pomp and circumstance. That's when I knew I'm helping to raise good men.
Yep.
And they got wives who signed the dotted line with them. Because most women want the white dress and all the pomp and circumstance. But these young ladies was like, we go ahead, put on our jerseys and baseball caps, we go get married, and we're gonna go to Ronnie's Steakhouse and get something to eat.
That's funny.
My only mentee who had a wedding is getting ready to go through a divorce.
Oh, no.
See there? See there? See there? See how that works? So that's what I'm saying. We got to get on the agenda when we're first dating. We got to get on the agenda when we're courting, because we still court. We just don't say that word no more. We got to get on the same agenda when we're engaged, and we better be on the same agenda when we're married.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because your relationship, all of your relationships are supposed to complement you. They're not supposed to make you. You're supposed to be made already.
Right.
So
right.
if I date you, if I'm in a relationship with you, X, you are supposed to compliment me, and I am supposed to compliment you. And that's the premise of how it works.
Absolutely.
Because if you trying to help me, if you want me to fill the voids in your life, I'll never win. I'll do everything wrong. And vice versa. If I'm looking for a mother, fill in the blank person, you will always let me down. That's why you got to manage your expectations.
Okay. You have so we're at 5 minutes and.
Wow. Are you serious?
Yeah, it went really quick. It went really quick. And you got a couple comments. So I want to check out these comments. And then when I come back, you can wrap it up, because then we'll be moving into our next guest host.
Got you.
Hold on. So here we go with what's on the chat here. Let me scroll back up. So I'm like Khalid, watching women getting hurt steered me away from cheating. Black women have enough pain as it is. Why would I add to it by breaking her heart, especially creating life outside of her womb?
Come on.
Young minds.
See?
And so then there's another. Young minds watch and learn. Modeling is the best way of teaching. Schemas are formed. When our ancestors created these scenarios, it was all mapped in the brain of the young ones watching. How to treat a woman, how to respond to a man, and vice versa. And then the last one, scandal took me back to Halle Berry winning an Oscar for sleeping with Billy Bob. She had done much better work. Likewise, Denzel for Training Day, celebrating negative behaviors. That is true. That was very true. Yeah.
Yes. See, people, we got it. And see, as a therapist, I bring this out of you. See, we all have the right answers. But we live in the wrong world that tells us do wrong. And what happens is when you do wrong, there's consequences. See, there's a bill collector, and she is beautiful. You know what her name is, X?
Karma.
See, X, you was a valedictorian of kindergarten, 8th grade, high school, and college. Her name is Karma. Even that name sounds pretty. And see, what happens is she's a bill collector that never forgets.
Right.
And she never forgives of loan. You will have to pay her.
Yep.
So you better understand, when you're doing stuff out here, it's going to always come back to you, because she wants her payment, and you're going to pay in full.
Okay. All right. So we're going to thank all your listeners, because you got a full panel over here. All right. Go ahead, Khalid. All
right.
When is your next show, and what will your topic be? And I hope it's the psychology of an affair.
You know what? Your wish is my command. The next show will be December 3rd at 12 noon. And we'll delve into that, the psychology of marriage, relationships, and the dysfunction. Because see, the thing is, I remember X real quick. I remember one of my clients asking me, and I said this last week, why should I listen to a man who's divorced? Because I've been through it. I've been where you don't know. I know how that dark forest feels. I know how my friend felt in that closet crying, looking at those empty hangers. And I don't want nobody else to divorce. I want us to have healthy relationships, because it builds healthy children and healthy communities. And when we have that in place, we win.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why I'm
Yeah.
always, somebody told me one time, they said, why you always talk about relationships? There's so many other things going on in the world. And I said, and you know
Mm,
what? I said, all those other things probably stem from having a dysfunctional relationship. Either your parents were dysfunctional or, there was some dysfunction going on in a relationship. And that is what all the rest of this stuff has stemmed from. Because it all starts with your family. It all starts at
yes.
home. It all starts with that little baby. It all starts right there. It all starts
Yes.
right there. So
Yes.
that's why relationships is my thing.